Hey Rivian Tracker fans, and welcome to my garage, where today I'm going to be walking through a video of my 2-year ownership experience with my Rivian R1T that you see right here behind me. I had pre-ordered my Rivian R1T back in 2019, and sometime around April of 2022, Rivian reached out to me and said, hey, we're ready to take delivery, ready to start the process for purchasing and delivering your Rivian. So let's do that. Originally, I was quoted sometime between October and December of 2022, but for some reason, it just worked out that I got pushed forward. And early VIN, one in the 4000s, so it was an early VIN vehicle living here in Orlando in Central Florida. It's really nice because we have a service center nearby. And so I didn't have to worry too much about having to drive long distances to get service, which is really cool. Back then, Rivian was really particular about making sure that vehicles were delivered to areas where service centers existed, and that you didn't have to go long distances and whatnot to have to get service for your vehicle done. So that was really nice. Nowadays, that's changed a little bit with Rivian offering vehicles in almost every state, and there's caveats, obviously, as there are not service centers in all 50 states at this time. So you may have to go a little bit further, or you have to schedule a pickup. Regardless, it was a good thing to live here in Central Florida, where we had a service center that had just opened at the time. So the way that worked out was pretty simple. At the time, my wife and I had a Tesla Model Y. We were a one-car family. We still are, because we both work from home, don't really need to have 2 cars. So we ended up trading in our Tesla Model Y long range that we had into Rivian. So Rivian came to my house on May 11th, 2022. Delivered my brand new R1T in midnight quad motor with black interior, and yeah, it was phenomenal. They came, they delivered. We walked through the whole process of how that, the service and the maintenance and the features of the vehicle. And then just like that, Rivian drove off with my Tesla Model Y, which I had traded in to Rivian. So everything was super easy. So anyways, yesterday was my anniversary for this. I'm recording this today on May 12th, but May 11th, 2024 was my 2-year ownership anniversary of my Rivian R1T. So I wanted to do a video that talked about what it's like to have this vehicle for 2 years. And so what I ended up doing was reaching out to the EV and Rivian community and saying, hey, what do you guys want to see and have me talk about in a video like this, right? And so I decided to do kind of a question answer style thing, where I told people, hey, what are your questions? I'm going to go ahead and ask, we'll answer them on here. And so I have my MacBook Pro with me here. I have a list of questions on a Google Doc right here with me. So we're going to kind of go ahead and just start and jump right in. These are not in any particular order. We're just going to kind of talk about everything as we go through it. And yeah, that's kind of how this works. So let's get started. All right, guys, we're gonna jump right in here. So first question, what feature did you think you would use the least, but you've used the most? So when we had our old vehicle, our Tesla Model Y, it obviously had a trunk where we could store our groceries and whatnot, but it also had a front trunk. Now, the issue with the front trunk in that vehicle was that it was not powered closed. And so it was, there's aftermarket kits, but we didn't have one. So what I found to be the most useful feature in the Rivian R1T has been the front trunk. It is a massive front trunk that you can put so much in there. And so I know that there's certain EV companies and people out there who are like, oh, no one uses the front trunk of their EVs. I call BS on that. I love my front trunk. My wife and I both use it all the time when we're doing grocery shopping or whatever it may just be. And I keep car cleaning supplies in there and all that good stuff. So front trunk, definitely one of those features that I thought I was not going to use the most, especially with a vehicle that has so much storage space. Follow up to that was, what's a feature you thought you would use the most but have used the least? And I would have to say the gear tunnel, what I'm sitting on right now. And I say that because I was really excited for the gear tunnel. And do not get me wrong, I think the Rivian gear tunnel on the R1T is a really cool feature. Initially, Rivian had some really cool plans for the gear tunnel. They wanted to do a kitchen and a bunch of stuff. Now, For reasons, they decided not to do that. They canceled those projects. And so there really hasn't been first-party accessories created by Rivian for the gear tunnel. And so that kind of was a little bit of a letdown. There are some third-party companies out there that have created some really cool accessories, and that's awesome. But there hasn't really been anything, first party. So that's kind of a bummer. That being said, when we go to the beach or stuff like that, we definitely use the gear tunnel to put away, the beach umbrella and the chairs. It's really nice because it's a area where I can just take a blower to and there's sand in there or whatever. It easy to clean. And it's kind of I consider it an external part of the vehicle. So I don't care if it gets so dirty, it's easy to clean and whatnot. So, but definitely thought I would use the gear tunnel more. Turns out I use it much less even today than I thought I would. So next question is, would you choose the same configuration if you had to do it all over again? So as a reminder, I purchased a R1T quad motor, midnight black color, with midnight or forest or black, I forget what the color is, the exact color, but the black interior, which at the time of me purchasing the vehicle was the only option. What I really wanted was Ocean Coast, the original Ocean Coast option that was existing with the light wood and all that. But that eventually got canceled and they introduced a new Ocean Coast, which was beautiful. But at the time that I purchased my R1T, I didn't have that choice. So I went with the black. Black on black, living in Florida, what could go wrong, right? With the heat and all that. So, so the question is, would I do it again? And the answer is yes, I would purchase the same configuration. I think the power that you get with the quad motor vehicle is astonishing. And, being able to just go in a straight line and being able to go off-roading and just have that power at each wheel. The dual motor variant is phenomenal. Again, at the time, there was not an option for a dual motor. I think the dual motor variant today is probably the best choice for 95% of owners. But I love the quad motor. I really do. That power, the sound, everything is great. And now regarding color and interior choice, I think I would definitely maybe choose, to go with Ocean Coast interior because I love the white and it's a really nice white. It's not just a very shocking white, like the Tesla white interior is really, really nice, but it's very bright white. I don't know, that's a weird statement to say, but yeah, it's very bright. Whereas I think there's multicolor tones to the Rivian Ocean Coast and I really like it. Would I go with black again? Well, as you see here, I wrapped my truck what's called satin vampire red, which is a satin finish, and I love it. And I think part of that was I really got tired of black. Black is really hard to maintain as a color. And I am someone who likes to keep my vehicles pristine and clean and all that. And so it was really hard to do that. You can see the swirl marks, you can see a lot of stuff. So I chose to wrap it. Would I pick the same color again? I don't know. I really wanted Rivian blue. I thought Rivian blue was really nice. I wanted Compass yellow, but they were, at the time, much harder colors to get because especially in the very beginning, Rivian was batching colors. So meaning they were creating a multitude of vehicles in a certain color and configuration and then moving on to like the next color and configuration. So I think I got really lucky with choosing midnight because that let me get my vehicle earlier than maybe if I had chosen a different color. So, but yeah, I would absolutely do the same configuration all over again. No regrets on that. Discuss your wishes for future software updates. So, when I started Rivian Tracker, which was originally, Rivian.software, it was the unofficial Rivian software tracker, which it still is. I started that because I wanted a place to be able to track software updates for Rivians and all that. And so, the Rivian team has come a long way in software development and design. Phenomenal job, right? So huge shout out to Wasim and the Rivian team for all their work they do out there, creating the software for the Rivian. I have many wish list items, such as an improved UI, interface. And I know a lot of these stuff are coming. I know Rivian's working on a lot of stuff, blind spot cameras, so when you turn the turn signal, you get the camera that pops up on the front display. Do I want Apple CarPlay? No, I don't want Apple CarPlay. I'm going to say that right now. Rivian and Tesla design really good software, and it's only getting better with every single update. Apple CarPlay is really good for vehicles that don't have a really good software design team. And so that is where I'll leave that, right? Take that however you like. But I think that with Rivian, I don't think, I want to see Apple CarPlay. That, I do want to see other integration with Apple. I'd love to get, Apple key card where it sits in your wallet. I'd love to be able to unlock with my Apple Watch. There's a bunch of things, I would love to be able to see. So my wish list is long, and I know that Rivian is working on some of those things, but it'd be too long for this video. So maybe I'll work on a different video that talks about my wish list items that I really want to see Rivian do in their software integrations. How well do the Nokian tires do off-road? So, as you've seen in videos, and I'll link a video up here, I swapped out my tires, and I got these Nokian Outpost NAT tires. They're all-terrain, all-season variant hybrid tires. They're really, really good. And so somebody asked how they do off-road, and first off, on-road, they do phenomenal. I think they're really well. I have them, I played a lot with the PSI because these are light truck tires, LT tires, versus the standard Rivian Pirelli tires that come with Rivians today, where they're not LT tires. So you have to adjust the PSI to be higher on these to counter the difference of the load. And so I'm running them at 55 PSI right now. I did a video early on when I got them, did it at 60 PSI. I played with 50. I found 55 to be the pretty sweet spot. And so I really like it there. Off-road, they do really well. I recently went with a couple of other Rivian friends over to Ocala National Forest, just north of Orlando. And we did some light off-roading, a lot of sand, soft sand. And so really that's, Rivian, going back to their software stack, the fact that they can come out with software updates and introduce something like they did with soft sand mode was phenomenal, right? I never had really the chance to use it until I got to play with it in this fun sand. And if you follow me on social media, you saw some of the videos I posted that were taken by some of my friends that we went off-roading with, where you could see me just piles of sand just covering the tonneau and covering the whole truck. And to this date, I'm still finding sand in weird places when I wash the truck. So yeah, I'm pretty sure 5% of my truck is now made out of sand. But the Nokian tires are really, really good. Are they the best off-road tires? No. There are tires out there that are designed for off-roading. There are tires designed out there for highway driving. These are a really good medium for a little bit of A and B. They're not designed to be great racing tires, as I recently learned, but they play the part really well and everything. They do really well with weather. Living in Florida, we get a lot of rain. They do really well with with a lot of rain and slippery weather. So no complaints from there. I highly recommend them. I'm not sponsored by Nokian. I bought these tires with my own money, but I do truly recommend them out there. So check them out, and you can check out. Here's a plug. I have a tire guide on my website. Check it out. Anyways, how's your efficiency with your current wheel package? So yeah, not only did I get new tires, but I got new wheels as well. I went the Black Rhino tires, 20-inch. Again, I purchased those full price myself. And I've been averaging about 2.3 miles per kilowatt at and so far I have about 6,500 miles on them. And so, I mean, I think that's really good. It's a little bit better than I was getting with the Pirellis that came stock with the truck. But I do love having I think the 20-inch configuration is the best for the Rivian. You get the most wheel options out there and the most tire options as well. So I definitely recommend that. So not too bad. How's the reliability of your Rivian? The Rivian has, and I truly mean this, it has been a really reliable vehicle. Knock on wood, we haven't run into major issues. We've had one or two little things there, and I'll talk about it a little bit later in this video, but it has been a very reliable vehicle. It has gotten us from point A to point B multiple times, very safe, and hasn't let us stranded. It all the systems in it work? Are there little glitches and bugs here and there? Absolutely. But I think it's been a phenomenal vehicle to drive. It has been very reliable. And if there has been a problem, Rivian technical support and Rivian service centers have been great at being able to work with me to get those fixed and work with other owners as well. Are there any creaks and rattles? Truly, there aren't. There are no creaks and rattles. I mean, if you go in the vehicle and start pushing hard on plastics and all that, yeah, you're gonna get things like, you're gonna get creaks and rattle. That will happen to any vehicle. But I don't have any just creaks and rattles. You know, quick story, when I had my old Model Y, there was always this rattle in the passenger door. And I took it to Tesla multiple times and they told me they fixed it, but boy, they never did, right? They never did. So one day I finally got sick and tired of it and I took the door panel apart and I bought some of that double-sided foam tape that you can put into, you know, literally designed to help rattles and for cable. I stuck it all over inside that door and it never rattled once in my life after that. So, you know, yay me for fixing that, even though I took it to Tesla multiple times. But Rivian, I have not had any rattles or shakes or creaks or cracks. Obviously, early on, the front shafts of the vehicle did creak a little bit, but that got fixed with a recall. But internally, there are no creaks and cracks or rattles or anything like that. So that's been great. How has charging improved, or has it, in the last 2 years? I charge primarily at home here. I have the Rivian wall charger with a 60 amp breaker, you know, here in my garage. And so I'm typically a level 2 charging here at home. You know, I wake up every day with 70% battery and, you know, I go about my days. So don't really experience much more with that, right? That's worked pretty well. Out and about in the world, you know, it really comes down. So in the early days of the vehicle, there were issues where the vehicle would just want to, you know, I don't know if it was the software or the battery. I don't claim to be an expert at this. There are people out there who know way more about battery chemistries and all that. But there were issues with, you know, the vehicle saying, oh, you know, slower charging due to vehicle, right? Or, you know, kind of how you see today where it's like slower charging due to station. Well, Rivian eventually removed that message because I think they got an influx of people reaching out going, something's wrong with my Rivian. Because it would say Rivian, you know, charging limited by vehicle. 500 amps, you get about 215, 220-ish kilowatts. And that's worked really well. I do wish that Rivian's charging curve was better. And plenty of people have done videos on that topic, again, who know more than I do about that stuff. But it's fine, you know, it's not the end of the world. It does really well. There are vehicles out there that definitely charge faster, but there's also vehicles that charge slower. I don't mind having a vehicle that's kind of in the middle of the road. And maybe in the future, Rivian will introduce, you know, better chemistries for charging and we can get longer. I don't mind the 220 kilowatt peak, but it would be nicer if we could get that for a longer period of time instead of, you know, ramping up, sitting there for a little bit, and then just starting to like crescendo downwards a little bit. Yeah, so anyways, that is stuff. Following up with that, have I noticed any battery degradation? Truly, I haven't. Not in 2 years of ownership. And if there is battery degradation, Rivian does a really good job of, I don't want to say hiding it, but like not making it a problem. And so I don't have any official tools that can tell me exactly, you know, if I have battery degradation or anything like that. But yeah, so quick, easy answer is I haven't noticed it if there is. Let's see here, sorry. Any hidden costs with owning the Rivian? Not really. I mean, I think with every EV, the hidden, I don't even know if it's fair to say a hidden cost, but I think a cost is tires. Tires have not been able to keep up with the EVs and just how much torque and power an EV can get, or can produce, I should say. And I think tires have struggled to keep up with that. That being said, I have opted out to swap my tires multiple times not because they wore, but because I wanted to try out different tires and do videos and reviews and all that. So I'm kind of the exception, to the rule versus the normal or the norm. So yeah, I'm not, I mean, I would say, tires, but other than that, there's little to no service or maintenance needed with EVs, as most of you probably know if you're watching this video. Let's see here. What are the drawbacks that you did not believe would be there? Truly, there are no drawbacks to owning this vehicle. Originally, probably the biggest concern I had was how are we going to road trip without access to the Tesla Supercharging network? But as we now know, right here in future 2024, that is a zero issue concern now with us with Rivian owners and Ford owners having access to the Tesla Supercharging network, which just allows us to road trip so much better. So while I don't think that was so much of a drawback, it's just a slight concern, right? That I had. Would you continue to own the R1T for the long term, or swap out for an NACS equipped vehicle, or maybe an R2? I don't have any intentions of getting rid of this truck anytime soon. That being said, as I'm filming this video before we get any details on the upcoming R1 refresh, if something incredibly amazing gets announced that's just going to blow this vehicle out of the water, then, maybe I'll consider it. But as of right now, truly, there's no reason for me to get rid of this vehicle, and I plan to keep it for a long time. Regarding NACS equipped model, we have an adapter. It works just as good as it would if it was a native NACS vehicle. So that wouldn't be reason enough for me to go out and buy another R1. And then what about an R2? We actually have an R2 on order. I mentioned early on in this video that we are a family of one vehicle. The goal is pay off this truck, get the R2 for my wife / me to do content and have it here. And yeah, that's kind of the current plan if it all works out, right? TBD, everything like that. Are you on your second or third set of tires? I'm on my third set of tires, actually. So like I said, not because I had to. So obviously when I got the truck, it came with the Scorpion Pirelli all-terrain tires, and those were okay. They did the job pretty well. I ran them for about 15,000 miles before I got a puncture in 2 of them and had to replace them. At that time, I decided to swap them out with different tires, and I opted to get the Nito Ridge Grappler tires, and I'll link the video up here in the corner where I did a review of those. And those were really good in the beginning. Definitely louder, but grip beefier looking. They looked really nice. But there was a lot of things I also did not like about them because I just didn't know at the time. Launching the Rivian Tracker Tire Guide, I learned a lot about tires, more than any normal human should know. And so I then looked at getting a third set of tires, and I looked at a lot of different options. Michelin offers the Platinum LTX tires, which are really, really nice. That I looked at. Nokian offers these Outpost NATs. Nokian is really known for winter tires, so this is their rollout to normal, all weather, all season, and all terrain tires. And what I really liked about them was cost, but also the way they looked, because they were more of an all season versus all terrain, but didn't look boring. Because there's a lot of tires out there that just they look boring, right? The sidewall, right? That's important to me. The sidewall here I want it to look beefy, but doesn't have to be like, oh my god, mud terrain tires, where you're gonna hear every single noise with it, right? Especially in such a quiet vehicle. So yeah, I'm on my third set of tires, and probably by the end of the year I'll be on my fourth set of tires just to get another set to record content with. And I buy all this out of pocket for myself, and I thank you guys if you've ever used any of my affiliate links. All of that goes right back to this, so thank you. This was an interesting question. How much do you regret buying your Rivian? I think this was a troll question, truly, but I wanted to answer it, and the answer is I don't regret it ever. Contrary to that, I think it was actually a very positive experience for my life because I found a new community and a new place and new friends and made new connections with the great people at Rivian, with the fine folks across the community. And I think because of that, I've built lifelong friendships and built a community around Rivian Tracker. And so zero regrets on that, zero regrets on the vehicle. Like I said earlier, I would absolutely buy it again, again, and again. No regrets whatsoever. What's one change that you hope to see in the future? So I have two of these. I have one for me, and then I asked my wife what was hers, because she is a daily passenger in my vehicle and sometimes a driver. I wanted to get her thoughts. So for her and for me, I am not a huge fan of software controlled air vents. I have to imagine that there's a cost savings to having them, but I've never been a fan of them. It's always it's gotten better with time, but it's still like not the best, right? It is just annoying to deal with sometimes, to get exactly where you want to get the air in your face or wherever you want it. It's just sometimes it takes a lot of playing around with the screen. And so I really do wish we had physical air vents, but I don't foresee that happening anytime soon, to be honest. And if you look at R2 and R3, they have software controlled air vents. So it's a small gripe. I can live with it, but I really do wish that something like that would be reconsidered. And the other one, my wife is not necessarily short, but she struggles sometimes getting into the vehicle, and I have friends who are on the shorter end. And so a lot of, Rivian introduced Neo Mode many updates ago, where the vehicle would lower itself so that you can get out easier access. But the reality is that is as much as you can do with software. I added running boards here, right? I have these EV Sportline running boards that I bought, installed myself. They've been great. And I really do wish that Rivian would introduce a factory option for running boards, an option, right, that you could buy and whatnot. And so that would also probably be something that I really wish that Rivian would consider looking into the future as a possibility, would be just factory running boards would be really cool. Next question is, what have you enjoyed the most throughout ownership? Well, I enjoyed the vehicle, but truly, this is just a car, right? It's a platform on four wheels to take you from A to B. What I've really enjoyed the most about ownership is the community. I said this before. I've built Rivian Tracker and continue to build Rivian Tracker around the community. It's the only reason I do this is for you guys. And I get to have fun with it, right? I have a day job like everybody else. So this is not my primary job, but I get to do fun things like this on the weekends or after hours and have fun with it. And as long as you continue to watch and visit the website and, support me, I will continue to do this. So thank you so much. But truly, the friends I've made in this community are phenomenal. My wife and I went on our honeymoon last year to Vancouver, but we had a layover in Seattle, and we met a bunch of the Emerald City Rivian Club folks out there. And they were some of the sweetest people I've ever met. And so I just, shout out to Dave, Steve, and Bryce for just being phenomenal, for living out there and just taking us, these total strangers that we've talked on the internet a few times, but then treating us like family and taking us around town and showing us the places and just having a great time. It's things like that. The Discord, the Rivian Discord community, the Rivian subreddit, the EV community on Twitter. We can complain about a lot of little things, but at the end of the day, it is a phenomenal place to be. And I think it's the EV community. We all need to stick together and continue to grow. Rivian is just one of many brands of EVs out there. And I understand that Rivian is not for everybody, and that's totally okay. That's why we all need to stick together to make it, to help the EV community build up, right? That's why we're all here. So that's really, that's important for me. So next question is, how's the range when you're using the AC in 100-degree plus weather? Well, great question. Living in Central Florida, it's hot, right? Like, we get the hot summers. It is spring here, but it feels like summer. And so I have to say that the AC, the HVAC system of the Rivian is really, really freaking good. And I say that, I've tinted my windows, normal legal limit, right? I matched the rear to the front. I did a clear ceramic coating, a clear ceramic wrap on my windshield to help with heat dissipation. But truly, the HVAC system in the Rivian is so good. There are times when it will be 100+ degrees out there, and after being in the car for an hour or so, you have to turn the air down or turn the temperature up because it actually gets cold. And you're like, how can it get cold? It's 100+ degrees out there. Well, it's just that good, right? And so, yeah, I have zero complaints about the HVAC system in here. Now, I know that I don't live in a cold place, but we've had some cold, winter nights, and the heating works just as good. Obviously, the current Rivian doesn't have a heat pump, so I can see why people who live in the north who deal with cooler weather are probably going to be worried about energy usage and range. But in terms of at least the cold HVAC and dealing with hot weather, yeah, there's going to be some impact to your range, but not a substantial amount to complain about. What do you wish you had known when you first got your Rivian? So I knew a lot about the Rivian before I got it. So I reached out to my wife and I said, what is one thing that you wish you had known before we got the Rivian? And she jokingly said, but then I decided to just kind of put in my notes, she didn't think about all of the people that would randomly come up to her and start talking to her about the truck. And I bet Cybertruck owners are experiencing this now. Rivian kind of less, because there's more and more Rivians out on the road now. But when I got my truck back in 2022, there were not many of these at all. Most people had never seen one in person. So there was a lot of pulling up to parking lots, parking, and getting asked 50,000 questions. Happy to answer all the questions, right? And that's kind of one of the reasons why I wanted to start Rivian Tracker as well, was because I wanted to educate people. But my wife, who is not the most sociable of people, or social, I should say, she's sociable, but not social. She doesn't like strangers coming up to her and asking questions. She was like, oh God, all these people are talking to me. So that's probably the one thing that she didn't like. But like I said, that has kind of dwindled down because now more and more people have Rivians and have seen it. Cybertruck owners, you're going to get to deal with this for a while. Somebody asked, can you talk about taking road trips before the Tesla Supercharging network? Yeah. So, I mean, I had 30,000 plus miles before Rivian and Tesla opened up the network, right? So that meant I had to deal with a lot of utilizing other DC fast chargers, such as Electrify America or EVgo, or the Rivian Adventure Network. And so, like I said in the beginning or earlier in this video, I do a majority of my charging at home. But there are going to be times when we're road tripping that you're just going to need to charge out and about. And the reality is, sometimes it was worrisome and concerning, but most of the time it was fine. Most of the time it was just being concerned about, oh my God, if I got there, am I going to have to wait? Will this charger work? Is it going to be derated? A lot of that. But then you got there and then you charged and it was fine. So truly it wasn't a problem. Now, I recently went to Atlanta, Georgia. We drove up for the R2, R3, and R3X that were there in the Rivian space in Atlanta. And we fully used Tesla Supercharging on the way up and on the way down with zero concerns. I could have happily used other chargers, but I knew the reliability of using the Tesla Supercharging network. And so the question now is, what do the next 30,000 miles look like with that open? And later this summer, we're going to be taking a trip up to North Carolina, and we're going to get to use a plethora of different chargers. I was thinking of maybe taking Tesla chargers on the way up and then on the way down using anything but Tesla, just to kind of see what that looked like. Plenty of people have done videos on this kind of stuff if you check out Kyle from Out of Spec. Yeah, I want to give it a shot myself and see what that looks like. Somebody said, Rivian versus Tesla. I don't know what to say to that. I mean, they're two different things. I don't know what they meant by Rivian versus Tesla. Again, I came from being a Model Y owner who loved the Model Y. We had a Model Y in the early days of the Model Y, which meant everybody was asking us about the Model Y and wanted to see it and check it out. Now they're a dime a dozen. Nothing wrong with that. It's one of the best-selling vehicles in America or in the world, and it's for good reason. It's a phenomenal vehicle. The Cybertruck is a completely different beast. I did a video, which I'll link up here, about testing out the Cybertruck that my buddy Bearded Tesla guy let me borrow for a little while. Great vehicle. It has its pros. It has its cons. I don't really have anything more to say about, Rivian versus Tesla. It doesn't have to be a Rivian versus Tesla conversation. They're both phenomenal vehicles, regardless of how you feel about, Elon Musk or anything like that. So, the next question was real world range. What does that look like? How good is Rivian at being able to guess your range? So, it used to, I feel like it got better, right? So I feel like it struggled in the beginning a little bit, but Rivian has really stepped up their game, and their guessometer, as I want to say, or their rangeometer, whatever it is you want to call it, has gotten so good at being able to pretty accurately depict the range when you arrive. Now, that being said, it is a very conservative range. So if you leave on a road trip and it says you're going to arrive with 40 miles left, right? As you're driving, obviously, the vehicle's detecting different conditions, right? Whether it's resistance from weather, speed that you're driving, traffic, etc. And so that number is going to go up or down. But what I've noticed very recently with most of the driving, is that if it says you're going to arrive with 40 miles, you end up actually arriving with more miles. That could be good or bad, depending if you're the type of person who wants to arrive at a charger with a low state of charge, because sometimes they'll say, oh, you're going to arrive with 10 miles left, but then you actually arrive with 40 miles, let's just say, because of different reasons. So that could be good or bad. I find it good personally, because I rather always overestimate versus underestimate. The last thing I would want the vehicle to be like is, hey, you're going to arrive with 40 miles and then you only arrive with 5. Not saying that can't happen. Of course that can happen. There's many variables that play into effect when you're dealing with range, but I feel like it's really been really, really, really good, especially at adjusting itself as you're driving. Quality, warranty, and customer service experience. So, quality of the vehicle. Early model, right? Early build. Small little quality issues here and there. Panel gaps, sure. Do they bother me? No. I think that has definitely improved. Based on just what I've seen out there, based on driving newer Rivian vehicles as well, you can tell the quality has improved. In terms of warranty, like I said, I haven't had to deal too much with warranty. I had one big repair issue, which I'll talk about momentarily, actually in 2 questions from now. So not too much. I had one piece back here of the bed, like a trim piece break. I was hoping that would be covered by warranty. I asked Rivian, but they said no, so I had to pay out of pocket. I think it was like $250. So that, that was unfortunate, but it is what it is, right? I didn't want a broken trim piece. And in terms of customer service experience, I've had nothing but positive experiences. In the early days, to be fully transparent, I remember having a guide. I don't even know if she's there anymore, but I had a guide, and she was really difficult to get a hold of, right? From my understanding, and especially in the early days, they had a lot of vehicle and owners assigned to one guide. So I could see why that would be difficult. But yeah, they were kind of useless in my mind, to be completely honest. I know some people have had completely opposite experiences with guides, and that's great. I personally didn't care for it, right? Like I said, I don't even know if my guide still works for the company. And there's nothing on them as a person. It was just kind of the role and the position they were put in. But other than that, anytime I've had a service issue or whatnot, I put in a service ticket through the app, Rivian reaches out, we get it resolved, make a service appointment, whether it's mobile ticket, or I have to go to the customer, or sorry, the service center and get it resolved, no issues. So for the most part, it's been really a positive experience. Have you had any issues with your air suspension? Knock on wood, no. Air suspension works great. I typically ride my vehicle with air suspension auto adjust turned off, less strain on the vehicle. I know that, maybe it's not the best for efficiency, especially if you're doing highway driving, but truly, the least it has to adjust and do that stuff, I think it's better. So I typically drive with that off, but I've seen some people where the air suspension sags and all that. I don't know anybody personally, but I have seen that people have had that experience out there. But thankfully, I have not had any issues with that. How often have you needed repairs? So going back to what I said earlier about, I had a story. So I've only had one major issue with my vehicle, and that was once upon a time, I was on vacation, got back from vacation, vehicle was parked at the airport for 3 days, and went to get into the vehicle and it wouldn't turn on. So I had to do, a hard reset, gave that a try. And then there was just this constant annoying pinging sound. And I got an alert saying critical high voltage error, safe to drive vehicle, please drive to service center. I thought that, this was, oh my God, they're gonna have to replace the high voltage battery, whatever. So I called Rivian, was able to get an appointment to drop the vehicle off. Took a couple of days, but then they determined it was an HVAC system issue. So they replaced the HVAC, all under warranty, right, at no cost to me, which was nice. Took a couple of days to do that because they had to order the replacement unit. And that was really it. That, knock on wood, no issues since then, but got a whole brand new HVAC system out of it, and it's worked great. There was also a known flaw in the HVAC system that from early builds that mine was unfortunately impacted with. So when they replaced it, that was fixed and that will never happen again. So that's been my biggest repair issue. Now, I have an appointment coming up in a couple of days to drop the truck off for a few days to do some stuff. They're replacing the tonneau cover. Even though mine works fine now, they reached out and said, hey, you have a service appointment coming up. Do you mind if we do the tonneau cover replacement? I said, yeah, why not? If you want to do it, go for it. There's a couple of alignment issues, like the charge port door needs to be realigned because it's crashing with the headlight a little bit. And then my steering wheel has a really bad wobble, so that could be wheel alignment. So they're going to do a wheel alignment. So just a couple little things here and there, nothing major again. So, yeah. Do you have any current gripes with your Rivian? Probably the only gripe I have, and truthfully, I had this issue with my Tesla too, and that's just the phone unlocking portion of it. Sometimes the phone unlocking, using the Bluetooth or whatnot, doesn't want to work, right? You approach the vehicle and you're like standing there, like tapping the door handle, like, I'm here, please open, and then it'll finally open. But like, there's sometimes it's always in the most inconvenient scenarios where it's raining or you want to get into your car fast, when it just won't unlock the door, and that sucks a little bit. But truthfully, that has improved a lot with over-the-air updates, so I can't complain too much, but it still needs some work. And I think that it will continue to get better, and I think that's just I think a lot of people have that issue with Bluetooth keys, and I think that's just why some people prefer to carry around a key fob or a key card, and I always carry a key card in my wallet with me as a backup. You should always do that, by the way, just in case. If you had to do it all over again, would you buy an R1T again or some other EV? For my use case scenario, I love the R1T. I like the R1S a lot. And if the R1S was available when I had bought my truck, I probably would have bought an R1S because I don't necessarily need a bed. It comes in great handy. I do a lot of stuff around the house, so we go to Home Depot and Lowe's a lot, and we're always buying, things, so throwing it back there, and it's nice to not have to worry about getting dirty, right? Because it's easy just to wash off the bed and all that. So that's nice. Would I buy any other EV out there? The only other EV that I really like, and this is going to sound ridiculous, is the Hummer EV, but that is way overpriced and massive. Would not fit in my garage. This barely fits in my garage. So yeah, I think today that would probably be it. But truthfully, like, there's currently not any EV out there that I would buy over the R1T, to be fair. We're coming down to the last couple of questions here. So what maintenance has the Rivian needed? Like any other EV, very few little things have to be maintained. There's no oil to change, so tire rotation, and I had to buy some new windshield wipers just because living in Florida, again, with the weather, the hot sun, the wet, you just need to replace them because they were starting to squeak. What vehicle did the R1T replace? We had a 2020 Model Y long range in red. It was great. And so we didn't need two cars, so we ended up replacing it with the R1T. Reliability has been a hit or miss for owners. What's your experience been like? Like I said earlier, reliability has been super awesome. No issues whatsoever. Had that HVAC system issue that one time, but once I got the truck working, it was an inconvenience, but everything worked and I was able to drive it. So I haven't been stranded, thankfully, and hopefully I will never be stranded on the side of the road or anything like that. So everything has been very reliable. Would you rather have a dual motor with more range or what you currently have? I think the dual motor is a phenomenal variant of the model of the R1T and R1S. I like my quad motor variant. I like my yellow accents, little things, but I just like it. So I would stick with this one. Plus, as long as the charging infrastructure in America gets better, I personally don't need a vehicle with more range so long as the charging infrastructure is there. I don't mind charging more often if it exists, right? So I don't need a vehicle with 500 miles of range. I'm okay with what I get so long as I have reliable charging. How does it perform off-road, snow, and towing? Well, I can't answer snow because I don't have snow in Florida and I have yet to take it somewhere where it snows, but it's on the plans, right? One day. Haven't towed. Yeah, I know. I'm sorry to admit it. I haven't towed, but I know plenty of other people who have towed and they think it's great. There's better people out there to explain towing, so I'll let them do. Off-road, like I said, handles like a beast, just beautifully, especially in soft sand, and just, oh, it's just so much fun. So yeah, I mean, my truck has been a pavement princess for a while, nothing wrong with that, but I wanted to get it dirty, and there's a couple of marks to celebrate the you know, the off-roading experience. Final question, how's the insurance? That will vary, right? State by state. You know, car insurance prices are going up across the board everywhere. What I paid for car insurance 2 years ago is definitely not the same today. I have Geico. I've been with Geico for a very long time in the state of Florida. I've looked at other insurance companies, but they've all been well, you know, above priced as what I have. I've been with Geico long. I have a good driver discount. I have a bunch of other discounts. I'm actually paying a little bit less than I was equivalent to the Model Y. And that probably just has to do with the fact that it's a bigger vehicle. I don't know. I feel like car insurance companies typically will price, you know, EVs more expensive because the parts are hard to define or whatever it may be. But truthfully, yeah, it's not that big of a deal. So anyways, those are all the questions I had. Thank you so much for submitting all those questions. There were a bunch more, but I tried to pick the ones that were good and that I could answer easily. And but I'm sure you're gonna have more questions and comments. So please drop them down below in the comments section. Social media, Rivian Tracker, pretty much on any social network site. You can DM me there or submit a question. I'm always around and I'll answer them, you know, happily. I'm going to, you know, continue posting more content on YouTube and Twitter and all those other places, so stay tuned. But thank you so much for watching this video. It is truly an honor and a pleasure to be able to do content like this and have you guys watch it. And I hope you're enjoying it. I know this was a little bit of a longer video, but I wanted to make sure, you know, we walk through, you know, all the questions that people submitted. So thank you so much for tuning in. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to visit riviantracker.com for news and all the fun stuff on software, etc. I have a tire guide on there that I recently redid, so it's really nice and clean. I have an accessory guide that you can check out. Any link you use from our website is, most of them, not all of them, but most of them are going to be affiliate links. All of that helps the channel grow. It helps me purchase new things to be able to review and test out. For the most part, I don't get things for free. I purchase things on my own, you know, because I want to make sure that I can honestly review them and talk about them. So anyways, that's 2 years of ownership with my Rivian. Thank you to RJ and the Rivian team for creating wonderful products. I'm so excited to see what the future of Rivian holds. And thank you guys for the community for making it super duper awesome. So until the next time, I hope you have a great day. And I am filming this on Mother's Day, so happy Mother's Day to all the moms out there, and I'll see you on the next video.